Hello, friends. Welcome to English Minds. Unlock the magic of English literature. First of all, I wish you all a happy new year. May this year bring you growth, joy, and new opportunities. Keep signing, keep exploring. Today, we will discuss on history of English literature. Let's begin. I hope you are serious applicant. Please ensure you have a pen, paper ready to take notes or complete your assessment accurately. Let's begin. Who wrote Beowulf, the oldest surviving epic in English literature? Option A, unknown. Was written by an anonymous poet, often referred to as the Beowulf poet. Which work by Bede is a significant source of Anglo Saxon history? Option B. The ecclesiastical history of the English people. Written by Bede, this is a key historical source for Anglo-Saxon England. Which old English poem is an elegy on about a solitary exile? Option B. The Wanderer. The elegy reflects the themes of loss, exile, and longing for a lost past. Which events marks the end of the Anglo-Saxon period? Option A. The Norman Conquest. The Norman Conquest in 1066 marks the transition from Old English to Middle English. What is the theme of The Dream of the Road? Option B. Christian faith and sacrifice. The dream of the road is a vision of the cross blending Christian and heroic themes. Middle English period 1066 1500. Who is known as the father of English poetry? जैसा कि हम सब जानते हैं. Option B. The legend Geoffrey Chaucer. Chaucer is celebrated for his contributions to English poetry, especially the Canterbury Tales. The Canterbury Tales is written in option C, Middle English. The Canterbury Tales is a cornerstone of Middle English literature. Which of the following is a dream allegory by William Langland? Option A. Piers Plowman. William Langland's Piers Plowman is a dream allegory exploring social and spiritual themes. Which of the following is a chivalric romance? Option A. Le Morte d'Arthur. This chivalric romance by Thomas Mallory recounts the legends of King Arthur and his knights, who translated the Bible into English during the Middle Ages. Option C. John Wycliffe. Wycliffe Bible translation was a major step in making scripture accessible to English speakers. The Renaissance 1500 to 1660, which work by Thomas More depicts an ideal society. Option A. Utopia. Thomas More Utopia imagines an idealized society with communal living and social harmony. Who is called the morning star of the Renaissance? Option D. No. Option B. Which poet wrote Astrophil and Stella, a sequence of sonnet? Option B. Sir Philip Sidney. Astrophil and Stella is a pioneering work of Elizabethan sonnet cycles. The Fairy Queen is an allegorical work written by Option B. Edmund Spenser. The Fairy Queen is a key work of English allegory and epic poetry. Which play is considered Shakespeare's last work? Option A. The Tempest. The Tempest is widely considered Shakespeare's farewell to the stage. The neoclassical age 1660 to 1719. Who wrote Paradise Lost? John Milton. Paradise Lost is Milton's epic poem on the fall of man. What is the genre of Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift? Option B. Satire. Jonathan Swift Gulliver's Travels is a satirical take on human nature and society. Who wrote The Rape of Lock? Option B. Alexander Pope. The Rape of Lock is a mock heroic poem satirizing the trivialities of aristocratic life. The term heroic couplet is associated with Option C. Alexander Pope. Pope is known for his mastery of the heroic couplet. Who compiled a dictionary of the English language? Option C. Samuel Johnson. Johnson's dictionary was a monumental work in the development of the English language. Lyrical ballads was a joint work of the which of two poets? Option A. William Wordsworth and Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Wordsworth 1904 23 compilation. Which of the following is not a work by William Blake? Option C. Prometheus Unbound. This is a work by P.V. Shelley, not William Blake. Which poem by Coleridge features an ancient mariner who tells his tale to a wedding guest? Option C. The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. This is one of Coleridge's most famous narrative poems. Which poem is known for the Ode to a Nightingale? Option B. John Keats. Ode to a Nightingale is one of Keats' most celebrated odes. Which novel by Mary Shelley is considered the first science fiction novel? इसको बोलते हैं sci-fi terms. Option A. Frankenstein. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is considered the first science fiction novel. Victorian period 1837 to 1901. Who wrote Jane Eyre? Option A. Charlotte Bronte. Jane Eyre is a seminal work of Victorian literature. Which poem by Alfred Lord Tennyson is a tribute to his friend Arthur Hallam? Option B. In Memoriam. The poem by Tennyson is an elegy for his close friend Arthur Hallam. The novel Wuthering Heights was written by Option C. Emily Bronte. Wuthering Heights is Emily Bronte's only novel. Who is the author of The Mill on the Floss? Option A. George Eliot. The Mill on the Floss explores family and societal dynamics. Great Expectations was written by Option B. Charles Dickens. Great Expectations is one of Dickens' most popular novels. Modern period 1901 to 1945. Who is considered the father of modernism in English literature? Option C. Ezra Pound. Pound's innovations in poetry marked the beginning of modernism. Which novel by James Joyce is set in Dublin on a single day? Option C. Ulysses. Joyce's Ulysses is a landmark modernist novel set in Dublin. T.S. Eliot's The Waste Land was published in Option C. 1922. Virginia Woolf to the Lighthouse belongs to which literary movement? Option A. Modernism. Woolf's To the Lighthouse is a classic of the modernist movement, which war influenced many modernist work of literature. Option B, World War First. Many modernist works were influenced by the trauma of World War First. Postmodern period 1945 to present. Who wrote Waiting for Godot, a classic of absurd theatre? Option C, Samuel Beckett. Waiting for Godot is a masterpiece of absurd theatre. Which novel by Salman Rushdie won the Booker Prize in 1981? Option A, Midnight Children's. Rushdie's novel won the Booker Prize in 1981 is a and it is highly acclaimed. Which play by Harold Pinter won the Nobel Prize for Literature? Option C, The Homecoming. The play is one of Pinter's most celebrated works. Which work by Arundhati Roy won the Booker Prize? Option B, The God of Small Things. Arundhati Roy won the Booker Prize for this novel. Who is the author of Beloved? Is a novel about slavery in America. Option C, Toni Morrison. Beloved is a seminal novel exploring the legacy of slavery in America. Which period is called the Age of Satire? Option A, the Option C, Neoclassical Age. The period is known as the Age of Satire due to works by writers like Swift and Pope. Who wrote the Essay of Studies? Option A, Francis Bacon. Bacon's Essay of Studies is a key work of Renaissance prose. Who is the protagonist of the Thomas Hardy Test of the Darewills? Option B. Option C. Tess Derbyfield. What genre does George Orwell 1984 belongs to? Option B, dystopian fiction. Orwell's 1984 is a classic dystopian novel. What is the subtitle of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein? The modern Prometheus. Who wrote the poem The Tiger? Option A, William Blake. The Tiger is one of Blake's most famous poems from Songs of Experience. Which of the following is a sonnet sequence by Shakespeare? Option C. Shakespeare's sonnet. Shakespeare's sonnet sequence include 154 sonnets addressing themes of love and time. Who is the author of The Pilgrim's Progress? Option B. John Bunyan. Which novel by Thomas Hardy is subtitled A Pure Woman Faithfully Presented? Option A. Tess of the Dareville. What is the setting of Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights? Option B. Yorkshire Moors. The dramatic setting of the Yorkshire Moors is central to the atmosphere of Wuthering Heights. What is the narrative style of James Joyce's Ulysses? Option B. Stream of consciousness. Who wrote the poem The Second Coming? Option B. W. B. Yeats. The Second Coming is one of its most iconic poems. What is the title of T.S. Eliot's influential essay on literary criticism? Option A. Tradition and the Individual Talent. T.S. Eliot's essays discusses the relationship between past literature and modern writing. Who coined the term stream of consciousness? Option A. William James. William James coins this term, which later influenced literature. What is the central theme of Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot? Option D. Absurdism. Waiting for Godot explored the absurdities of human existence. Which poem begins with the line April is the cruelest month? Option A. The Wasteland is the opening line by T.S. Eliot. In George Orwell's Animal Farm, which animal represents Stalin? Option A. Napoleon. Napoleon the pig in Orwell's Animal Farm represents Stalin. What is the main focus of Virginia Woolf's A Room of One's Own? Option B. Gender equality. Virginia Woolf's A Room of One's Own advocates for women's independence and creativity. Which novel is set in the fictional town of Malgudi? Swami and Friends, The Guide, The Man Eater of Malgudi. Option D. All of the above. R.K. Narayan set most of his works, including Swami and Friends, The Guide, and The Man Eater of Malgudi, is the fictional town of Malgudi. Sorry. Who is the protagonist of J. D. Salinger, the character in the Ray? Option A. Holland Caulfield. Which of the following is not a work of Geoffrey Chaucer? Option Option C. Pierce Plowman. William Langland. Who coined the term metaphysical poet? Option B. A. Samuel Johnson in 1779. What type of play is Christopher Marlowe's Dr. Faustus? Option C. Option A. Tragedy. Dr. Faustus by Christopher Marlowe is a tragedy exploring themes of ambition and diminution. Which playwright is known for the comedy of manners? Option A. William Congreve. William Congreve is known for his comedies of manners such as The Way of the World. Who is the author of Sons and Lovers? Option B. D.S. Lawrence. Depicting complex family relationships. What is the title of Thomas Gray's famous elegy? Elegy written in a country churchyard. Thomas Gray's famous elegy written in a country churchyard is a well-known meditation on death and rural life. Which novel by Joseph Conrad explores imperialism? Option B. Heart of Darkness. Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad explores theme of imperialism in the Congo Free State. What is the pen name of Mary Ann Evans? Option A. No. Option B. George Eliot. The pen name of Mary Ann Evans was George Eliot, under which she wrote novel like Middlemarch. Who wrote The Importance of Being Honest? Option A. Oscar Wilde. The Importance of Being Honest is a comedy by Oscar Wilde satirizing social norms. Which poet is known as the plowman poet? Option A. Option B. Robert Burns. Robert Burns, known as the plowman poet, wrote poems that celebrated Scottish life and culture. Who is the author of The Things of Fall Apart? Option A. Chinua Achebe. Things Fall Apart was written by Chinua Achebe and explored the impact of European colonization on Nigerian society. What genre is associated? Was Franz Kafka, The Metamorphosis. Option B. Existentialism is often read as a work for existentialism, exploring alienation and absurdity. Which work by John Milton is about the fall of man? Option A. Paradise Lost. Who is the central character of William Golding's Lord of the Flies? Option B. No. Option A. Ralph. The central character of William Golding's Lord of the Flies is Ralph, who represents order and civilizations. What is the theme of Chinua Achebe, Things Fall Apart? Option A. Colonialism. Which author won the Nobel Prize for 100 Years of Solitude? Option A. Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Gabriel Garcia Marquez was a Nobel Prize of for 100 Years of Solitude, a landmark work of magical realism. Magical realism. Who wrote Pride and Prejudice? Jane Austen. Pride and Prejudice was written by Jane Austen and it is one of her most beloved novels. What is the full title of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein? Option B. The full title of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, The Modern Prometheus, is a Gothic novel. 1779, example of science fiction. What is the primary theme of George Orwell's Animal Farm? Option B. Capitalism. Class and equality, inequality, and power and class. Which poet wrote Daffodils? Option A. William Wordsworth. Which of the following is a play by John Webster? Option C. The Duchess of Malfi is a famous revenge tragedy. Which novel begins with the line Call Me Smile? Option A. Moby Dick. Herman Melville's Moby Dick begins with the iconic line, Call me, smile. What is the author of The Wasteland? Option B. T.S. Eliot. Modernist poem. The Wasteland. Which movement is associated with the slogan Art for Art's sake? Option B. Aestheticism. Which work by Samuel Taylor Coleridge features an albatross? Option C. The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. Coleridge's poem features the albatross as a central symbol. Who wrote the picture of Dorian Gray? Option A. Oscar Wilde. Wilde wrote the picture of Dorian Gray, his only novel. Which of the following is not a work by Charles Dickens? Which of the following is not a work by Charles Dickens? Option C. Jane Eyre, written by Charlotte Bronte. Not by Charles Dickens. Hard Times, Great Expectations, Bleak House, written by Charles Dickens. What is the theme of William Blake's song of innocence and experience? Option B. Childhood and adulthood. Blake's songs, Blake's songs of innocence and experience contrast innocence and experience. Who is the protagonist of George Eliot's Middlemarch? Option A. Dorothea Brooke is the protagonist of George Eliot's Middlemarch. What is the central theme of the Canterbury Tales? Option B. Pilgrimage. The central theme of the Canterbury Tales is a pilgrimage to Canterbury. Which of the following is a work by Sylvia Plath? Both A and C. The bells are Ariel. Option D. Who is the setting of Shakespeare's Macbeth? Option B. What is the setting of Shakespeare Macbeth? Option B. Scotland. Hamlet, Denmark. Othello, Venice. Who is the author of The Jungle Book? Option A. Rudyard Kipling. Kipling wrote The Jungle Book, a collection of stories about the boy Mowgli. What is the pen name of Samuel Langhorne Clemens? Option A. Mark Twain. Samuel Langhorne Clemens is better known as Mark Twain. Which of the following work by Virginia Woolf? The Waves, Mrs. Dalloway, To the Lighthouse, all of the above. What is the genre of Henrik Ibsen, A Doll's House? Option C, social drama. Ibsen's A Doll House is a groundbreaking social drama. Who which poet wrote Do Not Go Gentle into That Good Night? Option A, Dylan Thomas. It's a Villanelle. What is the protagonist of Herman Melville? Billy Budd. Option B, Billy Budd. The protagonist of Herman Melville's Billy Budd is the title character Billy Budd. Which literary movement does Ezra Pound belong to? Option B, Imagism. Ezra Pound is closely associated with the Imagism movement in poetry. Which of the following is a work by Ernest Hemingway? The Old Man and Sea, A Farewell to Arms, For Whom the Bell Tolls, all of the above. Option D. कौन सा मेरा हाथ तो नहीं लग रहा है ये नॉर्मल सीजन लग रहा है I hope you liked this video. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel. Stay tuned for more informative content and make sure to hit the bell icon to never miss an update. See you in the next video. Thank you. Thank you so much. Essential of literary terms. What is the term of for a recurring theme or idea in a literary work? Option B, motive. A motive is a recurring theme, idea, or element in a literary work. A long narrative poem about heroic deeds is called epic. Option B. An epic is a long narrative poem detailing heroic deeds and adventures. What is the term for the repetition of consonant sound at the beginning of the word of words? Option B. Alliteration. Assonance, vowel, sound, repetition. A play that ends unhappily is called a tragedy. Option D. Option B. A tragedy is a play that ends unhappily, often due to a character's downfall. What is the main character of a story called? Option B. Protagonist. The protagonist is the main theme character in a story around whom the plot revolves. The term for a comparison using like or as is a simile. What is what is a literary work that uses humor to criticize or ridicule? Option B. Satire. Satire uses humor, irony, or exaggeration to critique or ridicule a character or force opposing the protagonist is called the antagonist. Option A. The antagonist opposes the protagonist, creating conflict in the story. What is the term for an extreme exaggeration in literature? In literature, option A. Hyperbole. Hyperbole is an extreme exaggeration used for effect. A figure of speech in which an object is given human qualities is called option C. Personification. Personification gives human qualities to inanimate objects or abstract ideas. What is the central message or insight in a literary work called? Option B. Theme. The theme is the central idea or message of a literary work. The repetition of vowel sound in a line of poetry is termed assonance. Assonance is the repetition of vowel sound in poetry or prose. A short story with a moral or spiritual lesson is called option C. Parable. A parable is a simple story that conveys a moral or spiritual lesson. The term for the atmosphere or emotional setting in a literary work is option A. Mood. The mood is the emotional atmosphere or feeling evoked in a work. A figure of speech that makes an implied comparison without using like, so, or as. Option B. Metaphor. The use of hints or clues to suggest event that will occur later is called option B. Foreshadowing. Foreshadowing using hints to suggest future events in a story. A poem mourning the loss of someone or something is known as option C. Elegy. An elegy is a poem of mourning, often for someone who has died. The perspective from which a story is told is called option B. Point of view. Point of view refers to the perspective from which a story is told. The use of a word or phrase that imitates the sound it describes is option B. Onomatopoeia imitates the sound like a type of irony. where the audience knows something the character do not is. Option C. Dramatic or irony. Dramatic irony occurs when the audience knows something the characters do not. What is a direct or indirect reference to a person, event, or work of literature? Option B. Allusion. An allusion is a reference to another work, person, or event. A brief, cleverly worded statement that makes a wise observation is called option A. Aphorism. An aphorism is a concise statement expressing a general truth. The term for a story that symbolizes a deeper meaning or truth is option A. Allegory. An allegory is a narrative poem, a narrative with a deeper symbolic meaning. A humorous imitation of a serious piece of literature is called option B. Parody. A parody imitates another work humorously. The struggle between opposing forces in a story is called option A. Conflict. Conflict is the struggle between opposing forces in a story. A line of poetry containing 5 feet is called option A. Pentameter. A pentameter line contains 5 metric feet. A form of Japanese poetry with the 3 lines and 17 syllables is option A. Haiku. Haiku is a 3 line Japanese poem with a 5-7-5 syllable structure. A short speech delivered by a character to the audience is option C. Aside. An aside is a brief speech directed to the audience unheard by another character. A story told within another story is called option A. Frame narrative. A frame narrative is a story within a story. Option A. What is the term for the time and place of a story's action? Option A. Setting. The setting is the time and place of a story's events. A form a form of understatement in which the positive is expressed by negative. Its opposite is option C. Litotes. Litotes is an understatement expressed by negative. Its opposite example not bad. A protagonist is with a fatal flaw leading to their downfall is called option B. Tragic hero. A tragic hero has a fatal flaw leading to their downfall. To overfall, to overall feeling or emotion of a work is referred to as mood. A narrative device that shifts back in time is called option B. Flashback. A flashback presents event that happened earlier in the story. A poem written in praise of a person or thing is known as a ode. An ode is a lyrical poem expressing admiration or praise. A character who contrasts with another character is called option A foil. A foil character contrasts with another or another to highlight traits. A figure of speech that combines contradictory terms is called option B oxymoron. An oxymoron combines contradictory terms bitter, sweet, open, secret. The arrangement of words and phrase in a sentence is termed a syntax. Syntax refers to the arrangement of words in a sentence. What is the repetition of similar grammatical structure in writing? A parallelism. A poem of 14 lines with a specific rhyme scheme is called option A sonnet. A long speech given by a character alone on stage is a option C soliloquy. A character who does not change throughout the story is option D. Option B static character. A static character remains unchanged throughout the story. A speech in which a character speaks to an inanimate object is called option A apostrophe. Apostrophe is addressing an inanimate object or absent person as if present. The use of contradictory ideas in close conjunction is called option A paradox. A paradox presents contradictory yet plausible ideas. The deliberate repetition of a word or phrase at the beginning of successive clauses is option A anaphora. Anaphora repeats word or phrases at the beginning of clauses. A story passed down orally through generation is called option B folk tale. A folk tale is a traditional story passed down orally. A literary technique used to ridicule human weakness is option A satire. Satire critiques human flaws through human humor and irony. A character that serves as a symbolic representation of abstract concept is option A allegorical character. A brief narrative poem with a dramatic or tragic theme is called option A ballad. A ballad is a narrative poem with dramatic themes. The arrangement of events in a story is referred to as option B plot. The plot is the sequence of story of event in a story. I hope you liked this video. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel. Stay tuned for more informative content and make sure to hit the bell icon to never miss an update. See you soon. The sun smiled down on us all day. Which figure of speech is used? Option A. Personification. The sun is given human like qualities, smiling. He is the black sheep in he is the black sheep of the family. Identify the figure of speech. Option B. Metaphor. Direct comparison. He is compared to a black sheep without using like or as. Her voice was as sweet as honey. Option C. Which figure of speech is this? Hy- Option A. Simile. Comparison. The comparison is made using as. The waves kissed the shore gently. What figure of speech is used here? Option C. Personification. The waves are described as performing a human action. Kissing. All the world a stage. Which figure of speech does this line illustrate? Option B. Metaphor. I have told you a million times. Identify the figure of speech. Option A. Hyperbole. An exaggeration is made to emphasize frequency. The silence was defending. What figure of speech is this? Option B. Hyperbole. Exaggeration of silence being so loud. A little knowledge is a dangerous thing. Identify the figure of speech. Option A. Paradox. Paradox. The statement contradicts itself but conveys a deeper truth. He is an early bird. Which figure of speech is used here? Option 9A. Metaphor. He is compared to an early bird without using like or as. She sells by the seashore. What figure of speech is used? Option A. Alliteration. Repetition of the S sound in sea sells, seashore. The thunder roared angrily. Identify the figure of speech. Option C. Personification. The thunder is ad described with human emotions roaring angrily. He is the king of his castle. Which figure of speech is this? Option 12. A. Metaphor. The comparison is direct king represents dominance without like or as. This is the beginning of the end. What figure of speech is used here? Option B, paradox. A seemingly contradictory statement that reveals a truth. Time flies when you are having fun. Identify the figure of speech. Option C, personification. The time is described as if it has human qualities, flying. The news spread like wildfire. Which figure of speech is used? Option A, simile. Like, the spread of news is compared to wildfire using like. The pen is mightier than the sword. Identify the figure of speech. Option A, metonymy. Substitution of related terms. Pen represent writing and sword represent war. The poor man's wealth is his health. Which figure of speech does this line use? Option A, antithesis. Contrasting ideas, poor man and wealth, are presented in a single sentence. Her laughter was a melody. Option B, metaphor. Laughter is directly compared to a melody without like or as. She had a heart of stone. Option C. She had a heart of stone. Option A. Metaphor. Her heart is compared to stone to indicate coldness or lack of empathy. The stars winked at us in the night sky. Which figure of speech is in this? Option B. Personification. The stars are described as performing humans' actions, winking. The Big Bang theory is fascinating. Option A. Onomatopoeia. Term bang mimics the sound it describes. The wind howled in anger. Identify the figure of speech. Option A. Personification. The wind is given human emotions, howling in sorry, anger. You are as brave as a lion. Undoubtedly, simile. The flowers danced in the breeze. Which figure of speech is used? 24C. Personification. His smile was brighter than the sun. Option B. Hyperbole. Exaggeration of the brightness of the smile. She is walking a walking dictionary. Option B. Metaphor. A direct comparison of her to a walking dictionary without like and as. The classroom was a zoo. Option B. Metaphor. The classroom is directly compared to a zoo. His explanation was as clear as mud. Option B, simile. Option, sorry. His explanation was as clear as mud. Is a irony. Option A. This statement conveys the opposite of the intended meaning. Mud isn't clear. Mud is not clear. Option A. The night was calm and quiet. Option B. Imagery. Vivid description of the night appeals to the senses. How was dawned in a sea of grief? Option A. Metaphor. His grief is compared to a sea. Don't cry over spilled milk. Option A. Idiom. The phrase is a common expression with a figurative meaning. Her voice echoed like a melody in the hall. Option A. Simile. The comparison is made using like. He has a heart of gold. Option A. Metaphor. His heart is directly compared to gold, symbolizing kindness or value. Life is a roller coaster of emotion. Option A. Metaphor. Life is directly compared to a roller coaster. The clock ticked away the hours. Option D. Personification. The clock is described as performing human actions ticking away. The leaves rustles like whispered in the wind. Option A. Simile. The sound of leaves is compared to whisper using life. He jumped out of the frying pan into the fire. Option A. Option D. Idiom. The phrase is a common expression with a figurative meaning implying moving from a bad situation to a worse one. This suitcase weighs a ton. Option A. Hyperbole. The weight of the suitcase is exaggerated to emphasize how heavy it feels. The crowd erupted in a thunder's applause. Option A. Hyperbole. The applause is exaggerated to sound like thunder. He has the strength of Hercules. Option A. Allusion. Reference to Hercules, a figure known for his great strength, is made to emphasize someone's strength. She is not unlike her mother. Option A. Lidots. An affirmative of expressed by negative its opposite, creating understatement, not unlike. The stars are diamonds in the sky. Option A. Metaphor. Stars are directly compared to diamonds without like or edge. Actions speak louder than words. Option B. Antithesis. Contrasting ideas, actions, and words are presented in a balanced way. A vast pot never boils. Option 4. 44. Question. Option A. Idiom. A commonly used phrase with a figurative meaning suggesting impatience delays result. The dark night of the soul. What figure of speech is used? Option C. Alliteration. Repetition of the initial consonant sound. The in dark night and soul. C is the light of my life. Option A. Metaphor. C is directly compared to the light, symbolizing happiness or guidance. C is as cool as cucumber. Option A. Simile. The book is a treasure trove of knowledge. Option A. Metaphor. The book is directly compared to the book is directly compared to a treasure trove, symbolizing its immense value. You could cut the tension in the room with a knife. Option A. Hyperbole. Exaggeration is used to describe the tension intensity. Her beauty launched 1,000 ships. Option A. Allusion. A reference to Helen of Troy and the Trojan War, emphasizing the extent of her beauty. Thanks for watching. I hope you like this video. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel. Stay tuned for more informative content and make sure to hit the bell icon to never miss an update. See you in the next video. Thanks a lot.